Alright, today's mini lesson is going to be on graphing exponents, which you guys have already done. And we're also going to look at the graph of the inverse of an exponential function, which we know is logarithm, because logarithms undo exponents, and we're going to keep or continue investigating that over the next few days. So, in order to graph this exponential function, we're just going to pick some input values here. We can pick whatever we want, but let's be nice to ourselves. Okay, so we have those. We're going to choose those 5 input values, and I might just input here. So like 2 raised to the second power. I'm going to start here for a reason, just so you maybe you're good enough to start here already. But if I take 2 and raise it to the second power, I get 4. If I take 2 and raise it to the first power, I get 2. If I take 2 and raise it to the 0 power, I get 1. And maybe you already know what these are going to be, but if you don't, just look at what that pattern is. Okay, we can just fill those in. And I'm going to graph those values. 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we could even say, oh, it would be 3, 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then if we go backwards, we know what's going to happen there. There's that horizontal asymptote. All right. So here's our exponential function. Now we're going to graph the inverse of that. There's a couple different ways we can do this. We could take each one of these points and reflect it across the line y equals x. But we also knew even a faster way of finding the inverse, and that's just by switching the x and y values. Switch those, and we're looking at the inverse. So I'm going to write, I'm going to fill in the chart for the logarithm, and I could figure them out by choosing some inputs and then figuring out the exponent that would work with that. A little easier though. Here's our first switched coordinate pair, and I'll just keep writing those down. Okay, so I just switched x and y, and so we're looking at the inverse here. Now I'm going to plot those points. I'll start here because that looks a little easier. 4, 2, 4, 2. And I can see that if I would reflect across the line y equals x, 2, 4, and 4, 2 are inverses there. So 2, 1, 1, 0, 1 half, negative 1, 1/4, negative 2. Okay, so look how that asymptote changed here. Here's what our logarithmic function is going to look like. And if we'd graph that on a calculator, we'd see the same thing. So I talked you through that one. I'd like you guys to do the same thing down here. Okay, I'll start you out here. Let's use the same 5 somewhat easy input values here. That's going to help you get started. Alright, so the first part of your assignment today, just work along with the video and practice here. Okay, if you're not printing this paper out, I do want you to be fairly accurate with your graphs. Show me that you have filled in the tables and be as accurate as you can with these points here. Don't just like slop something down. Okay, that's not good practice there. So to continue your practice, you're going to graph this exponential. You're going to take the inverse of this information here and graph that. And then down below you have some extra practice here. The first 3 start out just like what you're used to. What logical number do you have to raise 10 to get 1,000? What logical number do you have to raise 15 to get 225, etc. Let's look at, like, they start to change here a little bit. Notice where your unknown is. It's in a different spot here. So this says, what if we take 4 and raise it to the negative 4th power, what's the end result? Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this exponentially. If I start with 4 and I raise it to the negative 4th power, what's that value going to be? So notice that the base of the logarithm, becomes the base of the exponent. And the answer to the logarithm is the exponent. So I'm just going to figure out what that is. All of these, by the way, should be able you should be able to do them without a calculator. As you're practicing though, you might just want to try to use your calculator to explore your thoughts and then say, oh, here's how I would get it without a calculator. So I know 4 to the 4th power, let's see, 4 to the 3rd power is 64. 4 to the 4th power is 256. So 4 to the negative 4th power is 1 over 256. All right, guys, there's your practice for today, and we will continue this conversation tomorrow.